You are deformed.
I am deformed.
And you are ugly.
And I am ugly.
Frollo is one of the worst characters ever.
Don't be like Frollo. His spirituality is tied to the idea of his own righteousness, because he sees himself as called by God.
Yuck.
If they're telling you not to think for yourself, it's
That's
an
a
issue.
big red flag.
This is a key sign of abuse.
Yeah.
The person who comforts you is also the person who hurts you. Quasimodo doesn't get to decide for himself what his values, his beliefs, or his choices will be. Breaking free requires you to examine what you've been told, what you actually feel is right and wrong. It's just kindness and goodness to others that really matters. Hello and welcome to Cinema Therapy. I'm Jonathan Decker, licensed therapist who loves movies. With me today,
Alan Seawright, professional filmmaker who needs therapy, and you know who else needs therapy?
Frollo.
Uh-huh.
Olo.
YOLO. I'm sorry.
Why are you the way that you are?
The dad energy is strong with this one.
Now, this is one of our villain therapy episodes.
True.
We want to say out of the gate that mental illness is
Not linked to villainy, as far as I know.
10 times more likely to be a victim of violence than a perpetrator if you suffer from mental illness.
I have heard that.
So with Frollo, we are going to be looking at the concept of spiritual abuse.
Interesting. I'm unfamiliar with this term.
I'm glad you asked, Alan. Spiritual abuse and religious abuse are closely tied, but they're not exactly the same thing,
Right.
but Frollo demonstrates both of them. So spiritual abuse, based on this article, When Is It Spiritual Abuse by Andrea Matthews for Psychology Today,
Okay.
is when you are cut off from your own inner life. Your own thinking, your own, what's my gut say, what are my values, what are my beliefs, what is my moral center, and somebody takes that away and cuts you off from it and says, I am your guide, and I'm the only one who can tell you what is right.
Okay, that makes sense.
So that's spiritual abuse because in this case, the spirit is the inner self.
Right.
Religious abuse, there's a Venn diagram significant overlap where people use clerical authority to rob people of their free will and to promise them intense...
Basically commit spiritual abuse, right?
Yeah, so that they can't think for themselves. It is gaslighting. It is Mother Gothel, but it takes on this particular flavor and form.
Sure.
And, let's do this.
I didn't mean to upset you, Master.
Quasimodo, can't you understand? When your heartless mother abandoned you as a child, anyone else would
Not
have
what happened.
drowned you.
Not what
And this
happened.
is my thanks for taking you in and raising you as my son.
Not what
I'm
happened.
sorry, sir.
Oh, my dear Quasimodo, you don't know what it's like out there. I do. I do. The
Not
world is cruel. The world is wicked. It's I alone whom you can trust in this whole city. I am your only friend. I who
boy.
keep you, teach you, feed you, dress you. I who look upon you without fear. How can I protect you, boy, unless you always stay in here, away in here?
The way he lures him with his fingers.
Remember what I've taught you, Quasimodo. You are deformed.
I honestly, I hadn't seen this before. Didn't super care for the film, but as always, the Disney animators are crushing it. The posing is so strong.
I am your one defender. You are deformed. You are ugly.
Monster.
I am a monster.
Out there they will hate and scorn and
Only a
jeer.
monster.
Why invite their calumny and consternation? Stay in here. Be faithful
I'm
to
faithful.
me. Grateful
I'm grateful.
to me. Do as I say. Obey and
I'll
stay in here.
You are good to me, Master. I'm sorry.
You are forgiven.
Oof. Okay.
Yuck. Yuck. That's all I got is yuck.
Now, Frollo does believe in God. And here's the thing, and here's why I want to do this episode when so many people ask for it. So do I. And that makes...
So you're just like Frollo, right?
Well, here's...
All religious people are like that.
People of faith often don't want to look at the ugly side.
Right.
Right? And people who are disillusioned with faith, in my experience, they're more prone to acknowledge the good side.
Sure.
But they're like, there's a lot going on there. And I like Hunchback of Notre Dame because you have the priest of Notre Dame, who's not Frollo, who welcomes in Esmeralda.
Oh, he's a good guy, yeah.
And he's not, you're sinful and you need to convert to Christianity. He's like, I'm here to help you and to serve you and protect you, right? But Frollo, his spirituality is tied to the idea of his own righteousness.
Yes.
The idea of his own goodness and the idea of his own flawlessness. And that makes it so he can't see that he is outright evil.
Frollo is one of the worst characters ever. They're doing a great job of making the ickiest person.
Oh, he's, yeah.
Maybe that I've ever seen in a film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like,
for
just
sure.
just for, in terms of skin crawling, he might take the cake.
So Frollo uses something called operant conditioning, which means you pair punishments and rewards, you time to behavior to get the outcomes that you want.
Yeah.
And so he is putting into Quasimodo's head, if you leave, you will be mocked, you will be despised, you will be hated because you are ugly, you are a monster. And the repetition is part of the conditioning.
Sure.
I alone am your ally. I alone am your defender. I alone am your friend. Trust me. It is very much like Mother Gothel keeping Rapunzel in the tower. Mm-hmm. He's keeping Quasimodo up here to control him and to have someone, to feed into his ego.
Yeah.
And he doesn't see that, Frollo. He sees this as, I am benevolent. But when it comes to spiritual abuse, Quasimodo doesn't get to decide for himself what his values, his beliefs, or his choices will be.
He's got inherited beliefs at this point. Yeah.
That's the gaslighting. You can only trust me.
If you like what you're seeing here on our YouTube channel but want even more of it, come join us over on our Patreon. To be fair, as a parent, sexy merman drawings would set off alarm bells for me. Second, you need to be able to understand the geography of the action sequence. Third, you need continuity of action so that you can understand what's happening. Eat up the food! Stop burning me! Burn my mouth. My name is Alan Seawright. I'm a professional filmmaker, and say it with me, I need therapy.
I have a dear friend who would be very interested in any Wattpad fanfiction that may exist out there. So if you guys could let me know and I could get that to him, and maybe we could, he could show it to me and we could spend all night reading it together, and maybe we could kiss a little bit.
Plus, you get to be part of our awesome community on Patreon and Discord, where we have an exclusive section for our patrons. Go to patreon.com/cinematherapy and join today. You'll be our hero. This is really, really horrific.
Master, please help me!
And he chooses not to.
Request permission to stop this cruelty.
In a moment, Captain. A lesson needs to be learned here.
And what I think is beautiful about this story, because it's about a Christian cathedral is the setting, is that this
Don't be
non-Christian
afraid.
character
I'm sorry. This wasn't supposed to happen.
demonstrates the true virtues of that faith and of all world faiths, really, compassion and kindness and love.
Once.
Yes, Your Honor. Just as soon as I free this poor creature.
I forbid it! How dare you defy me?
You mistreat this poor boy the same way you mistreat my people. You speak of justice, yet you are cruel to those most in need of your help.
Silence!
Justice!
Mark my words, Gypsy. You will pay for this insolence.
Then it appears we've crowned the wrong fool. The only fool I see is you.
So here's a really crucial part of religious abuse and spiritual abuse, but I'm going to talk specifically about religious abuse here, is I've studied the Quran, I've studied the teachings of Buddha, which depending on where you are, it's a religion or a philosophy, right? Taoism, Christianity, and all these different faiths. What's curious to me is most people I know who are not people of faith, for example, don't really have a problem with Jesus.
Sure. Seems like a nice guy.
Yeah, they have
Said some cool stuff.
said some cool stuff. They've got a problem with people who see religion as an opportunity to seize authority,
Correct.
to dictate to other people how to live, and to build themselves up while tearing others down.
Right.
And she says, you preach compassion, but you actually don't live it. You know, and that's the biggest thing about religious abuse, because he sees himself as called by God, chosen by God for his position, and those who defy me are defying God and are unworthy creatures.
Yeah.
The whole song "God Help the Outcast" is sung in a Christian church by a non-Christian character, just about, I don't know if you're a real God, but if you are, it's just kindness and goodness to others that really matters, right?
Right.
We need to coexist together. I'm not invested in anyone joining any church or any religion. But if you're not a religious person, you're going to have to live with religious people.
A lot of religious people around.
And if you're a religious person, you're going to have to deal with, hey, not everyone sees the world like you do.
Yeah.
You know, and don't be like Frollo. Because when people don't like religious people, it's because they've known a lot of Frollos.
That is absolutely correct. I've known, not to the extent of Frollo, obviously he is a literal cartoon villain. I've known people like that, where they have a position of power and authority, and use that to either justify or have convinced themselves that their position of power and authority means that whatever they do is right.
Yeah.
And it's not true, and that makes you a bad person.
And it makes you dangerous.
Yes.
You know, if you can't take ownership, if you can't make amends, if you can't say, I could be wrong, and maybe I'm not as close to the mind of the divine as I think I am.
You think you've outwitted me, but I'm a patient man, and gypsies don't do well inside stone walls.
I gotta say, I knew about stuff like this from the book.
I was just imagining a rope around that beautiful neck.
I know what you were imagining.
But I did not expect to see this in a Disney family film.
To twist the truth, to cloud the mind with unholy thoughts.
So now he's blaming her for his lustful thoughts.
A magnificent prison, but it is a prison nonetheless. Set one foot outside, and you're mine.
So this is, pretty classic Predator behavior, blaming the victim for, it's you that caused these thoughts in my head.
And that's where the religious flavor of it comes in, because there's this belief that I should keep my thoughts pure and chaste, right? This purity culture type thing.
Sure, yeah.
And in his case, if he's feeling lustful thoughts, well, that's a threat to my righteousness, and so I have to externalize that. No, I'm still good. It's you who are tempting me. It's you, just by your existence. He's the one who freaking grabbed her from behind and pinned her arm back. Sniffed her hair. It's not like she chose to have her hair smell a certain way to tempt him.
Right.
But this, you see this over and over and over again, specifically the shaming of women and the sexualization of women's bodies. And that is somehow, they are responsible for how men think or act or things like that. And no.
Not accurate.
Sorry, everyone's responsible for themselves. That's how life works.
But he had such a bright future ahead of him.
Quick tangent, because you've been to Notre Dame, yeah?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, so have I. Man, the research that went into this.
Disney puts in the work.
In the courtyard, I'm watching them throw fruit at Quasimodo, and I see that.
I've literally stood right there.
Yeah.
I know what that looks like.
Yeah, I know exactly where that is. It's amazing. But anyways, back to Frollo.
I think that's great. Wait until you play Assassin's Creed.
Beata Maria, you know I am a righteous man. Of my virtue I am justly proud.
That's not
Being
how
proud
Christianity
of
works.
virtue. That's
You know I'm so
literally the opposite of what Jesus said.
Well,
right?
and if he ever read the New Testament, he'd know that he shouldn't consider himself righteous, but...
Well,
Then tell me, Maria, why I see her dancing there, why her smoldering eyes still scorch my soul. I feel her, I see her, the sun caught in her raven hair.
Our producer, Megan, was talking about how this scene just makes her skin crawl.
Correct.
And my response was, well, it's supposed to. And she says, I know.
I know. Doesn't mean I like it.
This fire in my skin, this burning desire is turning me to sin.
And now he's like, it's not my fault.
I'm not to blame. It is was the gypsy girl, the witch who sent this flame. It's not my
So
fault.
something's got to happen with her. She's got to be killed, or I should take her as mine in holy matrimony, and she needs to have me. I mean, this...
Yeah, well, not have me. I need to have her. This
Yeah.
is all about possession. None
Yeah.
of this is about love or... It's just...
Destroy Esmeralda and let her taste the fire.
Well, I had when Alicia and I got engaged, one of my professors said to me, "You know it's wrong to get married just so you can have sex, right?" And I said, "Yeah, no, I know. Like, that's not why I'm marrying her." but in his case, this, because I do think there are people who choose celibacy, and they can do it in a psychologically healthy or healthier way.
Sure.
But that's not this.
Not this.
And in order for that choice, you know, and asexual people may choose celibacy, for example, because they aren't super interested.
Just not interested, yeah.
But in order for celibacy to be a psychologically healthy choice, sexuality itself can't be seen as wicked or evil.
Correct.
Because sexuality is just part of humanity. Like, you can choose to engage in sex or not.
Mm-hmm.
But he sees the fact that he finds her physically attractive as sinful.
Right.
And then he's got this...
Will be mine, or she
And listen, the design of this entire song is absolutely stunning. It's splendid. It is the most hellacious, horrible-looking thing I think I've ever seen in a Disney film.
Uh-huh.
And yay?
Well, they achieved what they were trying to achieve.
But should you have been trying to achieve that?
Yeah, but your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should.
This was not a hit.
No.
Because a handful of parents took their kids to it, and the kids...
All had nightmares?
Yeah, all had nightmares.
Uh-huh.
And I know you didn't care for it. I actually really loved it, but it's definitely a very mature story, which is why the gargoyles don't really fit.
Tonally, it's all over the place. We're telling this really serious, dark, depressing story. The gargoyles, who not only tonally don't match, but they're not funny.
She's a girl, not a mackerel.
Because in The Lion King, you have some really dark stuff going on, and you have Timon and Pumbaa, but they're close enough to the center of the same story that they work.
Well, and they also serve a purpose in the story,
Yes.
right? Like, they are an integral part of Simba's arc.
Right, but I just mean, like, we're approaching Scar, and then they do, like, the whole luau joke, right?
Sure.
And, like, or Rafiki does kung fu, and, like, it doesn't take you out of it too much.
Right.
But in this case, you've got, like, we're gonna burn peasants alive in their house.
Hey, Jason Alexander's gonna tell some jokes.
This is like some fart jokes with his armpit, like. But I have some dark headcanon that makes it work.
Oh no.
The dark head, like the Disney version is, no, they actually do come alive and they're his friends.
Mm-hmm.
The dark headcanon, which I think is another valid read on this, is that Quasimodo is psychotic from isolation.
Oh, okay. So he's just seeing these things.
They are literally imaginary friends that he interacts with.
Are they imaginary friends, or are they like schizophrenic, like projections?
Well, yeah, they are. They're the latter.
Okay.
And the reason they're funny is because life is so sad for him.
And he's never seen a comedian, so he doesn't know what a good joke is.
Yes, we just solved the gargoyle
cracked
problem.
I know you helped her escape, but I know all Paris is burning because of you.
No, it's because of you.
Master.
You idiot! That wasn't kindness, it was cunning. She's a gypsy. Gypsies are not capable of real love. Think, boy.
Projecting.
Yeah. Projecting is right.
But what chance could a poor, misshapen child like...
Also, you can tell he's a bad guy because his pupils are teeny tiny.
Well, never you mind, Quasimodo. She'll be out of our lives soon enough. I will free you from her evil spell. She will torment you no longer.
What do you mean?
I know where her hideout is, and tomorrow at dawn, I attack with 1,000 men.
So obviously it's just a ruse to get Quasimodo to lead him to where it actually is, because he doesn't know. But the thing that I see here that is so true to life is he goes from rage to compassion, but fake compassion.
Compassion.
But how could a deformed creature such as you do anything but fall under her spell? How could you, And so he's trying to get Quasimodo to think, oh, good, I'm being extended mercy. I am terrible. I did screw up, but he's giving me another chance. He's so benevolent. He's so great to me. And this is a key sign of abuse, of all types of abuse, spiritual, verbal, emotional. Yeah. The person who comforts you is also the person who hurts you. And that's how they keep you.
Yeah.
They hurt you. They blame them hurting you on you so that you take ownership of it. And then they extend mercy and compassion instead of taking ownership for being abusive.
They show you just enough to keep you there.
Yeah. And it keeps you believing I am worthless, right? I'm a monster. I'm ugly. This is a brilliantly written and performed and animated depiction of an awful, awful, awful thing.
Yes.
But it captures it so well. So how does Quasimodo get free of it?
I think there's some fire.
The gypsy Esmeralda has refused to recant.
No, she refused to be your love slave.
Yeah, it's different.
It's not the same.
Come on, Quasi, snap out of it.
Your friends are down there.
It's all my fault.
You gotta break these chains.
I can't. I tried. What difference would it make?
But you can't let Frollo win.
He already has.
So you're giving up? That's it?
These chains aren't what's holding you back, Quasimodo.
Leave me alone.
Okay, Quasi. We'll leave you alone.
After all, we're only made out of stone.
We just thought maybe you were made of something stronger.
I really do think they're just projections of his mind. I don't think they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And it's the only way it works, really, but... So this is obviously...
It's a great shot right there.
And the lighting
where
on the contours.
Where he comes into the light.
Yeah. So the symbolism here is pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Breaking the chains. Yeah. But it's on point because he didn't believe he could break free, didn't believe he should, believed he was unworthy, so he was just staying trapped. And recognizing, I can do what I think is right, not what I've been told is right. So here he breaking free from spiritual abuse means getting in touch with your own inner self. And in Quasimodo's case, he knows that Esmeralda is a good person.
Right.
Even though he's been told that she's wicked and vile, he knows she's good and decent and kind. And he's going to defy church authority and government authority to save her.
Quasimodo!
I do like Kevin Kline's character.
Yeah, he's way better than he is in the book, where he's also terrible.
Yeah.
Sanctuary!
Just don't trip. Breaking free requires you to examine what you've been told.
Right.
All the way to the core, and what you believe about yourself and what you believe about the world and who you believe are authority figures and what you actually feel is right and wrong. And when it comes to authority figures, if they're telling you not to think for yourself, it's an issue.
That's a big red flag.
Yeah.
If they're telling you, I alone can help you, is that ever not, like, terrible?
I can't think of a single instance where it's not.
The only times I've ever heard that in my life, it turned out to be those were the worst people in my life.
Mother knows best.
And so when we talk about spiritual abuse and religious abuse, the fact is spirituality, being in touch with our inner selves, and also being in touch with something outside of ourselves or greater than ourselves, is part of the human experience, and it takes many different forms. For some people, it takes the form of religious worship.
Sure.
And that can be a good thing and a healthy thing if it's turning you away from judgment and towards kindness.
Yes.
Part of any belief system is values, right? Right and wrong, this and that.
Yeah.
But if your belief system isn't encouraging you to seek your own answers and isn't encouraging you to do the work yourself to connect with, is this what I really believe to be true? That's a major problem.
Right. And if it's cutting you off from associating with other people.
Yeah.
that's probably not a healthy place for you to be.
Yeah, when Frollo's talking about how the world outside is wicked and vile. Yeah, that's...
Just stay here with me. I'm the only one that can help you.
Don't associate with those outside of this. That I can guarantee right there, that's religious/spiritual abuse.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
So until next time...
What a woman.
Sanctuary! Sanctuary!
and watch movies. Just maybe not this one. I don't know.
Well, not with your kids.
Not with your kids.
It's Disney After Dark.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, it is. We want to thank our patrons, including
Sune Nielsen, Sregorniewicz, I have no idea, Tuxedo Junction, thanks Tuxedo Junction, Smikhail, and Victor G of Myth and Magic Artisans.